quarterback position, 2025. I think there's still a lot to be determined in that position. So give us a little insight on Bear Bachmeier.
Yeah, yeah, pretty interesting football lineage with him. His older brother Hank Bachmeier was at Boise State, now at Louisiana Tech, I believe it is, as a starting quarterback. His the middle brother Tiger is a freshman receiver at Stanford and a pretty good one. So Notre Dame fans, you might see him on the field this year against the Fighting Irish. And then Bear Bachmeier, a four-star quarterback in the 2025 class from California, number 112 overall player, number 9 quarterback nationally per the On3 industry ranking. He is visiting Notre Dame for the Central Michigan game. So 2025 quarterback recruiting, Darren, is in a really interesting spot because Notre Dame's offered several guys, but the board is essentially down to 2, and it's Bachmeier and it's Deuce Knight from Mississippi, who has since moved to Nashville to wrap up his high school career. I'm actually going to see Deuce Knight this Friday night. They're playing Chattanooga, which isn't too far from me. So I'm really looking forward to that. I could see both of these guys landing at Notre Dame. Bachmeier is getting this. He's visiting Notre Dame this fall before Deuce Knight is. Knight, to my knowledge, is not locked in a Notre Dame visit. So I really think it's a situation where Notre Dame is going to take the first, whoever wants in between these two. Notre Dame has been in a spot, previously in quarterback recruiting where they looked really good with a couple prospects, and then they loved both, maybe had one a little bit higher on the board than the other and held out for that guy higher on the board. I don't think they're doing that anymore. Like, they love Bear Bachmeier, they love Deuce Knight. Which one do they like more? I'm not going to speculate on that, but they'll gladly take one of these two. Bachmeier getting to campus for the Central Michigan game. He has a game that Thursday night, and then I guess Friday he'll get up to South Bend, see Notre Dame, Central Michigan, and it'll be interesting kind of monitor what happens next in his recruitment, how that with Deuce Knight, that elite prospect, how that affects him. I'm jacked up about this, Darren. I love good quarterback recruiting drama. So I am here for this 100%. Like, let's kind of see, how this, ends up taking shape.
Mike, just from what you've seen on video, is this coaching staff taking a look at 2 quarterbacks who have similar traits, Deuce and Bear, or do they have enough differences where you can't say that Notre Dame is trying to get, this A type of quarterback?
It's a great question, Darren. I'm going to be honest with you. It's not something I really talk to sources about to ask them that question, because I think I know the answer. And the answer is it's best available. You go get the best quarterback. I don't think they're like, oh, we want a pro style or we want a dual threat. I just think that line of thinking is very like 2005. I think that nowadays, you're going to have some quarterbacks who are statues, but for the most part, all quarterbacks need to move, whether you're maybe not a Mike Vick, but you got to be able to move some. And I think with Angeli can move some, Hartman can move some, Minchie can move some, CJ Carr can move some. I think Bear Bachmeier might be the best athlete in that entire group. Deuce Knight can really move as well. So I think it's really just who are the best quarterbacks in the country. Let's go after those guys rather than we want this specific. Now, does Gino Guidugli and that coaching staff have some qualities in a quarterback they like? Sure. But I really think it's more about best available, who are the best signal callers in the country rather than specific, types of quarterbacks, if that makes sense.
Yeah. And one more follow-up question. I think being with you on these talks for a few years now, I tend to notice that once the top quarterback starts committing, then that domino effect starts, because you don't want to be left out of the mix. You gotta find your spot. I assume we're not close to the top dominoes falling as of yet. The 25 board's still pretty wide open.
Oh no, dominoes have been falling everywhere. Yeah, I mean, Notre Dame's offered 8 quarterbacks, and I think one of them, I would say Notre Dame's kind of moved on from that recruitment, and then a few of the, what would that be? 5 of the others have just committed elsewhere or eliminated Notre Dame. So yeah, there's definitely dominoes. Like Tennessee has their short list, and if they get a commitment from a quarterback, like that would impact some Notre Dame guys or Bama, all across Auburn, even like Deuce Knight has a lot of SEC schools of close interest. So some of the dominoes have already taken place. Like Texas getting a quarterback commitment from I forget his name. Notre Dame had even offered him from Saraland, Alabama, and I think like Alabama was taking a close look at him. So like, there's already some dominoes that have already started to take place, but there are definitely more to take place moving forward.
Mike, you had the chance to spend a little time watching a Notre Dame offensive line commit and Anthony Knapp. What stood out to you?
Yeah, a really interesting player, Darren. Anthony Knapp from Russellville, Georgia. Got to see him and his team's blowout win, and it was a really strong performance by his team. Listed at 6'4", 265. I believe when I checked out, when I watched him that night, I was like, he's listed at 6'4", 265. I do not see that. So as we are talking right now, Darren, I'm going to look this up real quick because I talked to a source. 6'4", 278. So he was playing left tackle, and then at times he would slide over to the right side of the line to play on the end at an unbalanced line, and looked really good as a run blocker, finishing blocks. He got flagged for a holding, and then I think he kind of got surprised by the pass rusher on him, and then he got called for a 15-yard unsportsmanlike penalty for kind of backing up his running back, who, so he's kind of talking a little bit of trash, which I didn't think it was anything really bad. It was just the referee was standing right next to him. I think that's a learning moment for Anthony Knapp. Don't talk too much garbage when, the ref is standing next to you. But overall, I was pretty impressed with him. He's got some nastiness to him, some grit to him. Pretty good-looking kid. I think he's got decent length for his height. I just don't see a tackle at the next level. I definitely see an interior player, center guard, pretty athletic interior guy, like how he moves. So, I think he gets up to 300 pounds, 6'4", 300. Athletic, again, a really athletic player. I think Notre Dame's got a pretty good one than Anthony Knapp, and he is an outlier. We talk a lot about On3's rankings and how, they rank CJ Carr and some of these guys so much lower than other websites. Well, Anthony Knapp is the outlier in the positive direction for On3, ranked as the number 184 overall player, number 9 interior offensive lineman. And then the other 3 major recruiting websites, 24/7, ESPN, Rivals, all have him ranked as a 3-star. So big disparity. We're talking ESPN 66 at the position, On3 9. And Notre Dame loves him as well, from what I'm told, Darren. There's just, while he might not have that elite size right now, the film, Notre Dame absolutely loves Anthony Knapp and believes it has a really good player on their hands.
I mentioned you on yesterday's show, since you are the president of Joe Alt's fan club. The touchdown by Jeremiah Love on Saturday in the first quarter, when he made that little sidestep move and went by 2 defenders. Did you notice who was right there ready to hammer those 2 guys had they not gotten out of the way? That was Joe Alt. That was a play. It was a counter. The 2 guards pulled. Love followed them, and Joe came all the way from left tackle. And I just figured it was a tight end or a wide receiver blocking. It was Joe Alt, and he was scooting down the field like he's a tight end. And you wonder why he's in line to be a top 10 pick in the NFL draft. You just don't see that every day.
And a former tight end in high school. He's basically like a 6 offensive lineman his junior year of high school. And Notre Dame saw that, offered him. And at the time, I remember Notre Dame fans being like, we're offensive line you. Why are we taking this like 6'6", 220-pound offensive, or he's not even an offensive tackle, he's a tight end. Like, why are we offering and taking this guy's commitment? I was like, guys, like, the more I learned about him, the more I was like, this guy's a freak. And yeah, his father, John Alt, multi-time Pro Bowler with the Kansas City Chiefs, had the same exact transition, from tight end to offensive tackle. He did it in college, though, with the Iowa Hawkeyes. Joe Alt did it in high school. So he already had that like leg up on his dad. Now in terms of if he's going to go be that in the NFL, I don't know. But, the player that Joe Alt has been at Notre Dame has been outstanding. Now, I really pounded my fist on the table for Joe Alt. I definitely have for Steve Angeli. I don't, if Steve doesn't end up being a starter at Notre Dame, just give me some grace because I did call it on Alts. So
He's looked really good so far. He looked very comfortable at quarterback.
he had
Running
a
the
fine
stuff.
outing, like really good numbers, but I'm not really ready to be like, ha, look at me, I called Steve. Like, I don't know. Again, it was Tennessee State, so I don't want to go too crazy on it, but he did look good. That strike, of all the plays he made, the strike to Mitchell Evans over the middle was my favorite of Angeli in that game. I think that was a little confidence booster. Like, yeah, dodging a couple of tackles and throwing a little dump off to Jaren Price, a nice play. But I think the real confidence booster for him was that dart over the middle to Evans.